Stina Herz is a limit breaker, life lover, firewalking instructor, sweat lodge leader, passionate skydiving teacher, mindset coach, and vitalistic scientist. She loves spreading and sharing her inner fire, empowering people to find their inner hero or shero. Life with all its highs and lows is for her a big adventure. Listen to Stina's story and get ready to have your inner fire reignited. Welcome, folks. This is The Natural You. I'm Tim Wood, your host. Today we have the beautiful and wonderful Stina Herz. She is a citizen of Germany and I like to say world citizen because whenever I see her, it's somewhere overseas. So welcome, Stina.
Hello, Tim. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for taking the time. I'd love to hear, you've got a very interesting story. You've had lots of challenges that you seem to have overcome with ease and grace. I'd love to hear about your early years and some of the jobs and roles you've had in life and how you've got to this point here. So I'm just going to let you run with it. So please tell us your story.
Okay. Thank you so much. Perhaps first of all, I have to say I'm 48 years now, feeling younger than ever. And it's a lot during the last 48 years. But I think I start with what was most important after school. So I started doing a 3-year training for becoming a naturopath. That was the first thing I did right after school because I had experienced my sister having very, very bad skin when she was very small. So I saw how a naturopath helped her come out of that. So I started that. And in Germany, you have to be 25 years old to be able to do the Heilpraktiker, so naturopath exam in front of the state. So I finished school with 24, so I was too young. So I decided to become a paramedic, a professional paramedic, because I thought it was a good training on top of the naturopath thing to have like experience with emergency, but also with chronic disease. So be more aware of what happens in the body. So become like an expert in medical stuff to help people. And I loved being a paramedic. So I stayed in that job for several years and started parallel to that to work in emergency room. So because in an emergency room in a hospital, you need like nurses, so specially trained nurses, but also professional paramedics. We worked hand in hand together, which was brilliant. And I had my son when I was 26, and I was a single mom for several years, which was a very good training too for my whole life. I think it was the most important training actually. From my son. Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, his birthday is tomorrow. It's his 22nd birthday. Yes, it's tomorrow.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm so proud of him.
Congrats.
Because he's really going his own way. And I think that was one of the best trainings to be able to give another human being, a small human being, the chance to raise to an adult person and to now see that all the things that happened while I was a single mom was okay. It was a huge thing for me because I was working as a paramedic, like night shift, day shift. I had to find someone to take care of him. Sometimes I had to call him on the phone in the morning to make him stand up. That was, I think, the worst feeling I ever had in my life doing that. But now that he's 22 and a 2-meter big, like sunny boy, he's a surfer.
Wow.
And very relaxed and taking life really easy. That's so good because it turned out that everything I had a bad feeling about turned out to become something really good. So, yes. And
wow, that's great.
then I these 3 big jobs, I did, of course, like waitress stuff. Beside of all that, I had 3 jobs sometimes. I loved all of them. I even served curry, sausages and French fries in a small wagon So I loved all my jobs.
Oh,
Yes,
very
absolutely.
German.
So yeah, and but I always had like contact to medicine, to emergency medicine. I started working as a simulation specialist to train intermediate care units, intensive care units in communication in emergency situations, because in these situations, many mistakes happen. So, and because of communication, you can avoid that. So I became a trainer for communication, and I started working as an analyst for like a mistake. How do you say that? It was a system where you can talk about mistakes that happen in medical systems, like in hospitals. So I analyzed these situations and I gave like tips how to avoid these in the future. I even wrote a book about, I was a small part in a book about how to deal with emergency patients in emergency rooms and hospitals. So it was like crew resource management training that I did. Yeah, I've done a lot. When I start talking about it, yeah.
I'm listening, and I'm picking up a few trends just listening to you, and you're very excited,
Yeah.
very excitable.
Yes.
You love what you do,
Yes,
whatever it is,
absolutely.
you get stuck in. Whether it's serving sausages or helping someone who's been stabbed, you're excited about it. And I also know that you love skydiving.
Oh yeah, that's going to
And
be,
that
yeah.
you do firewalks, and you do ice bars. So I'm picking up a trend here. Is there a little bit of an adrenaline junkie in there? Is there?
That's a good question.
Are you doing it for the thrill, or do you just love the excitement, or is it the buzz that's around you? Because it always seems to be in a team setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picking up there's a team there as well, and the communication element. Which of those, or is it all of them?
It's funny because it has nothing to do with adrenaline. Nothing. It's all about mindfulness.
Okay.
Actually, because when you work with an emergency patient, if you go skydiving, if you walk the hot coals, if you sit in an ice bath, you are absolutely in the moment. You only concentrate on the moment. And there's nothing that brings you more into mindfulness, into the moment, to experience this second you're in, so intense. And so, yeah, mindful. Because it's when someone opens the door in our plane, when I go skydiving, and I'm a skydiving teacher even, and a skydiving instructor. So I'm jumping out with, of course, my friends and people who have the same experience, but also with people who have never jumped out of a plane. And they want to open the parachute themselves. So we never know what happens. They get a training, but actually you never know. So I have to be in the moment. I have to focus on every second. And when I'm in the air, everything that's down on the earth is not important. It has no importance because I'm in the moment. I have to focus and concentrate on the moment. And so I'm really enjoying this moment. And that's the same with doing a firewalk or sitting in an ice bath. It's always the same. Or sitting in a sweat lodge. Yeah. I also do sweat lodges. So it's just being in that moment and taking everything that comes in that moment and looking at it and being thankful for it and using it for the future. So, yeah. And the funny thing is I became a skydiver, although I was so afraid of flying. I was very fearful of flying because I had two very, very dangerous situations in airplanes. But someone made me do a tandem. So I did a tandem and I overcame this fear and I said, I have to try this. I have to jump over my shadow, like we say in Germany.
Yeah.
I don't know if you say that in Britain too. I jumped over my shadow and I went into that plane and I did this tandem. And I think about 5 seconds after we left the plane, I had this feeling of absolute freedom, absolute bliss, and joy. And I said, I need to learn this. So I sold everything that I could sell to be able to pay for my skydiving license. And actually, that was my biggest breakthrough. Like doing this tandem against my fear. And I was also afraid of heights. And I learned that skydiving has nothing to do with fear of heights. And then that was like the start for becoming a firewalk instructor and becoming or doing sweat lodges, ice baths, because it changed like the basics, the fundamentals in my life to deal differently with situations that might cause fear or bad feelings, or am I able to do this, And since then, I didn't know that, but this thing, No More Limits, which is actually the name of my company, already started there. And it's funny because on the 6th on the 10th of July, I got my skydiving license 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Wow.
Yes.
So it's sort of been a 10-year journey into facing your fears. And
absolutely.
So, for example, let's say someone, what's the key? Because I see a lot of people are afraid of different things, whether it's heights or cold or fire. What is it that drives some people to go and meet those fears? Because some people go, well, why would you want to do that? Like, why would you want to get in freezing cold water up to your neck? Or why would you want to work over colds? I mean, what's wrong with you? What is it that there's some people a lot of people have those similar fears, but why is it some people want to go and lean into those fears or meet them? What is the difference between the people that do and the people that don't?
I just had an experience this weekend with a young lady who was very afraid of doing a tandem. She's a very good friend of a friend of mine. And she said, I want to go skydiving with you. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not a tandem master, but come to my drop zone. And she was so afraid. She was so nervous. I have not seen someone so nervous in a long time. And I started talking to her and I said, what if this is going to become or be the best experience of your life? And actually, she started coming down. She went up. She jumped out with a tandem master. She landed and she said it was the best experience in her life. And I think that is the big difference, that there are some people seeing the possibility of something like irrational, crazy, like walking hot coals, sitting in an ice bath, doing a tandem jump or your own jump might be the best experience in your life. It's like, I think we have all these stories people tell us that skydiving is very dangerous. Why would you walk hot coals? You can burn your feet. Yeah, but what if you don't burn your feet? What if the ice bath gives you so much power and stress resilience because you sit in very cold water, like 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, and you confront your body with this stress, and then you show your body how to go through this stress and that you can master this stress, because that's what you do in an ice bath. You stress your body, and then you show the body, this is not going to kill you. This is like giving you a so good feeling, body feeling afterwards. And if you do it on a regular base, it's good for your health. It's good for your resilience.
Yeah.
It's good for... That's it.
Our body needs stress. You know, we need to exercise is a stress on your system, and the ice bath is the same. So we have to get resilient, we need to do some of the difficult things. Yeah, sure. If you want to go and run 5Ks, it's not that easy. And you have to build up to it. And then even when you're fit, it can still be hard. And there's that day when it's just like, oh, I'm not feeling for it. And then you do it and you go, oh, I'm glad I did that. My body needed that stress, needed that release.
Exactly. And the thing is that you can train resilience. You can train being less stressful, or that you don't get stressed. You can train that. That's what I do every day. Every day. I meditate on a regular, so daily base. I do my breathwork sessions on a daily base. I do yoga, sports. I have cold showers or an ice bath. On a daily base. Sometimes it's more time, sometimes it's a little less because I have a lot to do. And I now know I had panic attacks when I was 20, 21 years old, really severe panic attacks. I had the paramedics at home several times because I thought I would die. I would not be able to breathe. And now it's just like, that I can't even understand why I had that 25, 26 years ago, because there is no fear anymore, because there's nothing to fear in life. Of course, there are dangerous situations, but I can decide if I go into them or not. And skydiving is not dangerous. Actually, it's a sport like any other sport. Football is much more dangerous than skydiving.
Yeah, I think there are probably a lot things like horse riding,
Yes.
lots of things that can cause quite a lot of bad injuries if you think about it. And often the more risk or the bigger chance of big injury, the more safety equipment you have. So, for example, I used to work outside on high-rise buildings on the end of ropes, but I would far rather do that than climb up a ladder, because a ladder you can fall off and really hurt yourself. But if you're hanging off a 40-story building of 2 very strong ropes and 2 different harnesses and 3 different safety systems, then you're actually safer than walking up a ladder. And more people get injured on ladders than on climbing ropes. So
that's it. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's also I've done some webinars on Zoom about mindfulness and about stress, about the 3 forms of stress, like emotional, chemical, and physical stress. And it's not like in Stone Age, where we had just a short amount of stress when, like, the saber-toothed tiger came around and we had to hunt it or run away. Because by running away or hunting, we have a lot of course, stress hormones, but through the sport, if you call it like that, like running, you lower it again. Today, we have saber-toothed tigers everywhere. Our boss, the traffic jam, the phone ringing the whole day, kids screaming, having like conflicts with your neighbors, with your boyfriend, girlfriend. There's stress the whole day. You have bad news on the television, on the radio, the whole day. So we are stressed the whole time. So it's so, so important to know how to lower this stress and how to raise your resilience. And perhaps for some people, walking hot coals or sitting in an ice bath is a very extreme way, but actually it's a very good way, and very, how do you say that? It takes it, or it keeps you resilient for a long time.
It's empowering, and you're taking action. You're taking action. Yeah. So there's this. You're saying, like you said earlier, you have to train resilience. You have to train to get it. You don't just go, oh, I'm so resilient. I just did. It just happened. It's something that often takes a big step, but then, like you say, you have to practice those. So you do those things daily. Some of them to bring yourself down, to get out of an anxious state. So you're doing your meditation and your breath work, your yoga, more kind of passive things. And then you do something that really challenges your physical self, the sports side of things, the ice, the cold, heat. So you've got those balance of sort of calming and stimulating. And you need to using the one to bring yourself down, and the other one to stress yourself so you can get used to it.
Because we don't learn just by sitting in front of a computer. Well, a little bit perhaps if you do a seminar or whatever, but it's if you want to train your body, mind, and soul, you need to become active. And that's why my company is called No More Limits, and my programs are called like Food Up, if it's chemical stress, if it's like nutrition, and Power Up, if it's about business and mindset, because it's all about energy and power. And of course, if you do one of the events, it's the program Fire Up, because I'm a fire person. I love fire. I am on fire when I do that, you know, so, but it's always up.
And what is so the element fire? What does that represent to you? And then also, if we can assume that water or cold is the opposite element, and you use both. So I'm curious as how you see those energetically, or what they give to you or your participants.
The thing is that we are always all of the elements, always, but mostly one or two are higher than the others. I'm, for example, more the fire and wood person. I love to walk bare feet on the earth. You know, it's like I like. In summer, I normally don't wear shoes if I don't have to. It's just like, you know, I love being in the forest, in nature, and I get a lot of my energy from there, because I found out that although I have a lot of fire and I'm burning for life and burning for other people, to see how people change, how they get out of their limitations. I'm not that extrovert that I always thought I am. I'm almost 50-50. So I need 50% people to get energy, my own energy up, and 50% I need to be alone on my own in nature and not talking, just being with myself. And that's so important that we honor these different parts. And I know a lot of people who and you know, these people are like flying, and you have the feeling you can watch through them, and they are very like air, you know, and water, and going very smooth through life. And I'm more like, when I come into a door, people have said I take the door already with me. You know, I bump with the door into the room sometimes, because here I am, and I'm burning for what I do. And if I can give a little bit of this fire to other people, it's just like they can feel the energy that they already have in themselves. Because if you see it on someone else, you know, you always have it also inside you. Otherwise you wouldn't see it, you know?
Yeah. And I see that in you, Stina. I see that fire. And I did a ceremony for my daughter when she was going to her teenage years. We did a family ceremony, and she has a lot of fire too. And I said to her, you know, the fire is a beautiful thing because it gives us warmth, it gives us security, it gives us safety, but it can also be very dangerous.
Yeah.
And just like a knife or a sharp tool, they can be wonderful as tools, but they can also be destructive in the way that we use it. How do you manage your fire so that it's not destructive, or you contain it for it to be safe?
I tell you, the one moment in my life, I think, where I had most of my fear that I ever had, I was 39 years old. I was sitting at the dinner table, and I had all the symptoms of a heart attack.
Wow.
And I'm a paramedic. I'm even a teacher for paramedics. So I had a pulse of 32 on my wrist.
Yeah.
But my heart was pumping with around 100. I had chest pain. I had really panic. I had fear of death. And my husband then said, okay, I need to call an ambulance, because he's also a paramedic. So I think it might be a heart attack. So my own colleagues picked me up with the ambulance. And on the EKG, my husband couldn't say if it's not a heart attack. So, and fortunately, luckily, it wasn't a heart attack, but it was a severe heart rhythm problem because of stress. I worked up to 70 hours a week. I didn't do sports. I didn't do meditation. That was the moment, just 1 year after I did my tandem, that I said, okay, stop. I need to change, to be aware of my fire and to not let it burn myself. That was exactly my moment where I realized, okay, this was just a big bang to wake up. It was a wake up call. And then I started doing meditations, calming down, like just taking 3 deep breaths when I was in a very stressful situation. And that's how I started with going into nutrition stuff. And because then I also had a diagnosis of my thyroids. Yeah. I had it's called Hashimoto. So my thyroid was not working well. And my doctor said, yeah, you will need to take hormones when your thyroids are destroyed by your own body. And I said, no, I won't do that. I don't want to take pills. And then I went into nutrition on the basis of blood rates. And I changed my diet totally. And my thyroids are fine. So
amazing,
my doctor
amazing. The body can heal itself,
yes,
if we give it the right stuff, right?
That's it. I always say it's rocket nutrition. If you give your body like rocket nutrition, you can go through the roof like a rocket. No matter if you're a fire person or wood or water or air or whatever. It's just we all need the right nutrition. And what is the right nutrition? What is good for you might not be good for me. And that's what I found out. And now I have had, I think, around 350, 400 people who I've taken the blood rates and written nutrition plans and a good, how do you say, a good analysis on their blood rates, because no one does that, you know, and that's so important.
Yeah. So what are the key blood parameters you're looking at to decide which category they go into?
No, don't worry. It's about 40 rates. So I'm very scientific through my paramedic career, but I'm also very spiritual through my naturopath and my personal experience. So I always put both into this cup, you could say. And of course, I want to know if there's an illness behind it, if I can see that one organ is like not working well. Mostly it's more or less fine, but I can see that there, for me, very important is the blood group. I can see through the how do you call the questions they have to fill in. The questionnaire, which is a very thick one in my case. So you have to fill in a lot of information that I need. So I look at how fast your metabolism is working. Is it a slow one, a fast one, or middle one? And then I take all the single blood rates together. Sometimes I look even at the combination of some blood rates. I can see how stressed you are. I can see if you have a lot of acid in your blood. I can see how your intestine is working, you know, and how your liver is working. How high are your sugar rates? You know, are you perhaps close to a diabetes? And then I put all this together and then I write a big plan how to, or what food is good for you. And of course, if you need like vitamins or other stuff like, how do you call it? Like natrium, salts or whatever. Yeah. Or herbs. Yes. To strengthen your body because most of people don't have everything they need. And that's why the body is not working as how it could work, you know? And it's so interesting to see what happens because I didn't know it, but a woman wrote to me after 4 months following the plan that she's feeling so good and so well and more energy and her skin is much better and migraine has gone and there's a big change. She's pregnant. And I didn't know that she wanted to become pregnant for years. And 4 months after changing her diet, she did nothing else.
Wow.
She was pregnant, and it still gives me goosebumps, really.
Yeah.
And now I had the second woman who got pregnant after changing her diet. And this is big. This is
well, like you said earlier, we have mental, physical, and chemical stresses. And if your nutrition is not right, that's the chemical stress. And if your body's under stress, it's less likely to want to conceive because it's busy working against disorder and disease to just sort of keep itself going rather than providing an optimal environment for a growing baby.
You know it. I know it. The power that made the body heals the body. So if we give the body what it needs and take away what makes the body ill, we can live a fulfilled life. This is so amazing. And I always tell it to people who don't know me. I'm 48 years now. I'm starting like totally new in my life, and I have more power. I'm looking younger than 10 years ago. I have more power.
I can vouch for that.
I have more power in my muscles, because I'm doing my sports. And I don't take things so serious. That is so important. I can laugh about myself so much, You
need to teach me that one.
And also, this is a process. And it's like talking good to yourself is one of the most important things. That's why I have my affirmations. That's why when I wake up in the morning, sometimes I also have a negative thought. And then I start laughing and say, no, come on, Stina. This doesn't work this way. Think about something positive,
And then what would you bring up? What would you bring to mind in that instance?
I woke up.
What sort of positive? I woke up today.
I woke up today. And I'm thankful.
Some people didn't wake up today.
And I know it because I used to work as a paramedic. That's such a big effort that I worked as a paramedic. I've been resuscitating people who were younger than me. And life was over for them. We never know when it's over. We never know. So let's make the best out of every second, And when I wake up with a negative thought, it's just like, hey, come on. I woke up. This day has the power and the chance to become the best day in my life. No matter if I have experienced a lot of trauma also in my life.
Yeah. And
it hurts, of course. And that's okay. Because if it doesn't hurt, I can't enjoy the good moments,
Yeah. And, that hurt and sadness and those emotions kind of show that we actually cared about those things,
Yes.
So whether it's if it's a loved one we've lost or a relationship that's ended, it's like, it hurts because those had meaning for us. And that shows that. And those are healthy emotions to have and good emotions, but we can't dwell there. And so we have to say, oh yeah, that's good. That's a good emotion, even though it doesn't feel so nice. And then, like you say, flip it around and go, okay, well, I'm still here. I'm still going to serve. I'm still going to do these things. So yeah, it's so I can see your positivity and I'm always amazed by it because you just seem to be able to switch it so quickly. It's hugely inspiring, Stina. And so I'm just grateful that you're sharing that with us. Your teaching side of things, can you tell us a little bit about the courses you're running? I know you said there's no more limits. I've been following you on social media, and you've been running things in Europe, but then also I saw one in Namibia. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the plans you have going into the future? Because I know that you're here now, but there's going to be something new. You're going to be growing. The phoenix is rising, and I want to see the new iteration.
It's so funny that you say the phoenix is rising because people can't see it, but I have a lot of tattoos. I have a big peace dove on my back. And after all the stuff I experienced the last month, the phoenix is going to be the next tattoo on my left body side.
Okay.
So funny. Yeah. And it's a firebird, of course.
So fire.
It's
My
my
makes
element.
total sense. It makes total sense.
Yeah. So my events that I'm doing are, I do firewalks. I have a firewalk now in August, in the beginning of August. I will be at Valhalla Festival in Basingstoke the last weekend in July, doing firewalks with my good friend John and his girlfriend Amanda.
So that's Basingstoke in the UK?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
That's right.
I'm going to England.
July.
Yes,
Wow.
I'm going to England. It's planned for next week. I'm going to visit a friend in Cornwall, a very nice chiropractor with long blonde hair, and I'm going to do some skydives there at the coast. And then I'm going to Valhalla Festival and helping with some firewalks and enjoying Vikings. And then I will have my own firewalk in August. And due to the huge changes in my own life, I had to switch some of the programs, and Namibia is going to be next year in April and May. And I'm soon, as I'm changing my whole website right now, my webpage, there's going to be a waiting list. So people who are interested can join the waiting list and say, I really want to go with you to Namibia. It's going to be a 1 week long retreat. And a wonderful, it's called the Moonscape. It's close to the oldest desert in the world. And we're going to have a tent camp, a very luxurious tent camp. And we're going to do a firewalk, a sweat lodge, ice baths in Namibia, in the middle of nowhere, with a big sky tent above us, in total calmness. And of course, we're doing some more stuff, which I'm not going to tell because it's there has to be some secrets, but it's all about like, pushing your mindset, and pushing yourself towards the best life ever, your dream life that you can become reality. You know, it's, a dream is just an illusion, but if we make it come true, it's our wish or the life we wish for. So, and we can do that. Everyone can do that. And so the next thing is Sweden. We have a very beautiful space in Sweden with small cabins and a bed and breakfast. And we're going to do the same there. I'm planning one retreat or event, week-long event in winter, because there's nothing better than doing a real ice bath in a real frozen lake.
I can imagine. I've done some ice baths, but it's always been sometimes a cold environment, but never in the actual ice lake. That looks next level.
It's so amazing. It's so cool. And also doing a firewalk at minus 20 degrees is it's a great experience, really. Or a sweat lodge. I did the hottest sweat lodge I've ever done at minus 20 degrees. It's all about isolation. And I think there is more to come. So I'm just in the middle of some very big changes in my business, and people are starting to ask for the events, and it will need perhaps some more weeks, but then we can plan.
Fantastic. And we'll put all of those details in the show notes so people can look for those, and I'll do a little rundown at the end as well for people so they can go over that again. But I'm glad that you're doing them all over the place. That gives so many more people an opportunity to meet you and share your gifts and be ignited by your fire, Stina.
That's on my website. Ignite the fire within. That's it. Yes.
Brilliant. And I just sort of as we start winding down, I was looking back at the notes I wrote before we came on, and I think we've hit most of those. And I think the key thing for me was the way you took out the kind of adrenaline side of things, because I know a lot of people are, wanting to do the next thing and tick off that box, and I think you just take it so much deeper than that. And it's not, yes, you can get a rush from doing those kind of things, but that's not where the meat is. That's not where the real change happens. It's not in just overcoming that one thing and doing it once. It's saying, okay, I've done that. What have I learned from this? How can I go into that? I remember the first time I went into an ice bath, it was like, I'm going to do this because I can get through it. And I like gritted my teeth, and it was bloody painful. And I was just kind of like, I did it, and I was like, okay. And then had a break, and then I went back in, and this time I said, okay, now I'm going to say, okay, thank you for those sensations. I feel you. And then I was able to get down. And then the next time I did it, I was actually able to go into that meditative state, and then just bliss out in that state. So a real kind of, for me, the steps of kind of doing it to do it, and then kind of engaging a bit more, and then going a bit deeper. So I will encourage anyone who's listening in and who has a fear, and it could be anything, is to be open to the possibility of what that fear can teach you. What can it bring to you? What sense of peace? What sense of accomplishment? How much resilience can you gain from that? And could that be the best thing that ever happened in your life, like Stina said right at the start? So have a think. What are your immediate fears? What are that one thing you said, I'll never do that? And maybe ask yourself why. Because I know Stina has probably not asked herself why, and just kind of gone into it, and knows that change and good things are at the edge of your comfort zone. And if you sit on the sofa, it ain't going to change. And then you can carry on moaning about all the things you're carrying on moaning about. And if it's a physical ailment or a psychological state or a spiritual place you're at, something needs to change. And I will wager that it's at the edge of your comfort zone. What do you say, Stina?
True words, absolute true words. For me, what I always write under my posts and newsletters, it's always no more limits, no matter what. For me, it's always no matter what. That is one of the most important sentences. My best friends gave me a lighter for my first firewalk I did on my birthday this year. My first it was 2 firewalks parallel, actually, for 65 people on my birthday on the International Firewalking Day this year. And they gave me a lighter, which on one side is Stina, and on the other side it says, no matter what. And that's why I have it on my arm.
No excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses.
No excuses.
That phrase, no matter what, is like, okay, it's raining. Oh, I feel run down. It's like, no, there's no excuses. With that phrase, it's like, no matter what.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful words. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing, Stina. Hugely inspiring. And I've loved chatting to you. And I'm sure everyone listening has enjoyed it too and got some inspiration there. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And thank you for all the work that you're doing for the people around you and for our society and everyone you touch.
Thank you for having me. You're very welcome. Really. Thank you.
Awesome, Stina. I think we all got to feel Stina's energy and positive mindset, and hopefully she reignited something in you. If you're ready to fire up your life or be challenged in an area of your life that needs it, perhaps Stina can facilitate this for you. Her details and events are listed in the show notes. In closing, I have to ask, isn't it time to lean into that fear? It could be the best thing you've ever done.